All right, I'm here with Seth West from Next Adventure, and we're going to talk about Hobie boats. It's the perfect time of year to talk about them. It's just starting to rain. It's December, and folks are getting excited about different opportunities to get out this upcoming spring. And if you're like me, during the winter time as well, to do some hunting and some fishing out of one of these boats from Hobie. What we're standing in front of is a 12-foot Pro Angler, which I am very familiar with, and Seth is an expert with these things, as well as some other ones that we're going to talk about here in a little bit. But Seth, thanks for spending some time with us and talking about these boats, man.
Pleasure to be here, Owen.
You by chance run one of these yourself?
I run the Outback, so
run the
a slightly
Outback?
smaller one. Yeah, I do a lot of offshore fishing, and that model's a little better for getting out there and punching through the break.
Right.
But use the Pro Anglers from time to time on like the Willamette and the lakes around here. It's a nice stable craft, so a lot of fun for getting out there for springers or on the lakes for trout. So,
yeah, no question. Especially right now, trout fishing has been great on some of the lakes in December. I know that might be weird for some folks to think about, but it's true. And these things are so useful. You can use them in all kinds of different situations. But I think it's the flexibility of these boats that makes them so appealing, let alone the Mirage Drive. And we got a lot to talk about that here throughout some of these segments. But with this particular boat, I know it's extremely popular. The Pro Angler, I don't know if it's their top seller or whatever else, but it's extremely popular. Can you give us an idea? You run the Outback, but why is this so popular for a lot of folks?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing with the Pro Angler that appeals to a lot of kayak fishermen is what you have in kayak fishing is a lot of people who come from a background of power boats.
Sure.
And so when you go look at a lot of kayaks, they're really skinny and they don't look very stable and they don't have all this cockpit space, and it's kind of intimidating, right?
Sure.
Because you're really stepping into that kayak realm, whereas a lot of guys see the Pro Angler and they're like, oh man, this feels kind of like home, right?
Sure,
you got
sure.
this big spacious cockpit, you've got tackle storage, you've got places to store your rods. Everything's really nicely set up, and it says, like, let's go fishing.
Sure.
You know?
And it's very accessorizable. I don't know if that's the best way to put it. But you can have, like on mine, I've got my fish finder here, and I've got multiple rod holders with this H-rail from Hobie. You can really jack this thing out to anything that you want to set it up for. Different styles of fishing, different species that you're going to go after, whatever it might be. For yourself, just talking off air, Seth has had a chance to use some of these in different parts of the country, as opposed to, say, Texas, that you spent some time in, up here in these fisheries. Is this pretty applicable for a lot of different things that you like to do?
Yeah, I mean, you see a Hobie all across the country.
Sure.
They're based out of California and quickly really caught in the Southeast, like in Florida. Guys use these for everything. I mean, you see a lot of people these days using it for sailfish is a really big thing in Florida.
Sailfish?
Yeah, people catching sailfish. It's kind of like a bucket list thing at this point, is taking your Hobie out and getting some sailfish in Florida.
Okay, we need to call the guys down to Florida again. Maybe try that out. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, and then like when I lived in Texas, really common to use them offshore for kingfish or snapper, and then in the flats for redfish, another really big thing. And then out here, it's almost more applicable in the Northwest because we're trolling for salmon so much out here, and it becomes so crucial to keep your hands free, when you get that takedown.
Sure.
And I think, I probably have used my Hobie way more in the Northwest than I did before because I've been salmon fishing so much.
Sure.
And it's just made that so much easier.
Now, a lot of that is because of the Mirage Drive.
Exactly.
Now, there's a couple of different versions of these. We'll talk about that later on. But with this particular Mirage Drive, this is the 180, where you can pull the lever and go from forward propulsion to reverse, which was a game changer when it was initially introduced. Again, we're going to talk a little bit about that later on. With this particular unit, you're out there trolling. A lot of times you're going uphill of current and then going down current.
Right.
Is there ever a time that you find this to be inconvenient, or is it always convenient when you're trolling for Chinook?
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of a time that it's been a bad thing.
Okay, I was about to say that answer, just the look on his face is like, that was a stupid question. It's pretty easy. No, I get it, because I've had that same experience. And again, the accessories that you can put on these is endless, from different types of rod holders, different manufacturers, if it's Hobie, if it's Scotty, whatever it is. You can change things up to what you like. And of course, there's ways that you can store different things in the boat itself. This is a 2019, we're rolling into 2020. The 2020, just like this, is going to be available. Yep. But you might even be able to save yourself a little bit of dough if you were to go after the 2019. Is that right?
Maybe so.
Maybe so. You got to come in and see the folks at Next Adventure in order to figure that out. But again, this is the 2019 Hobie 12-foot Pro Angler. You can rig it any way that you want for multiple different styles of fishing. If it's lakes, if it's rivers, if it's the saltwater, whatever it happens to be for you, you can morph it to make it perfect for your style of fishing. Now, we're going into 2020.
Yeah.
And I love the whole 2020 thing. You can see clearly in 2020, right? Well, Hobie came up with another game changer, something that I was completely unaware of and just until a couple of days ago when one of our sponsors had mentioned it. But there's a brand new version of the Pro Angler that's now available for 2020. And there are some significant changes in one area. We're going to talk about that next in our next segment with the guys from Hobie, Seth in particular. We're going to talk about this newest boat in the next segment with the folks from Next Adventure.